Hello, everyone. Welcome. This is our queer Jane Austen fantasy sports ball for JaneCon 2025. I am Cassiane Mobley. This is my channel, Tea with Cassiane. We're still doing Jane Austen, but gay.
It's really gay.
It's super gay. We're here for the gay. And joining me is my bestie, Mary Hill.
Hello.
Who is an amazing human being. And she's in a really cool singing group called Yes Ma'am. And I'm going to link to their YouTube page because they've got a few things up on that. We love doing queer things together. And
so we decided, let's do something very gay.
Yes.
So, this is Queer Austen Fantasy Sports Ball! First of all, why are we doing this? Now, when you're watching it, it's going to be in July, but we are filming this on the first day of our Pride Month. Ooh. And we are both professionally queer.
Yep.
As in, we're queer, and that's basically a full-time job sometimes.
Yeah, especially in the US right now.
So, existence is resistance.
Yep, and celebrating queer joy, which is what we're here to do, is definitely resistance. There's some straights watching this who might not, they're like, but why? They're like, Austen's so hetero, but why? Why you want to do this?
That's what you think.
Austen's so hetero, right? So how did queer people find each other, like in Jane Austen's time? They had a system of codes where it's like, if you were queer, you need to look out for these signals that maybe someone isn't straight, maybe someone isn't cis.
They identify as a lifelong bachelor.
Or he spends all of his time with his best friend and they live most of the time at each other's houses.
Or gals being pals.
Gals being pals, my living companion, you know? And they were roommates.
Or
a woman who just isn't into men.
She's just decided that
she's going to be a spinster for the rest of her life.
That's fine.
That's fine.
Things like this were already happening. But when it came to, you couldn't necessarily say it out loud. Like what happened with Oscar Wilde. Everyone knew about Oscar Wilde, but once they said it out loud, well, trouble happened.
Yeah, that's why queer coding exists. And then when we get into media portrayals, especially in film and television, in the US in particular, there was something that was instituted in the 1920s, but not really enforced till the 1930s, called the Hays Code. The conservatives were lobbying Congress to censor the movie industry. And the movie industry said, well, we really don't like the idea of government censorship, so let's censor ourselves.
And they did. This is continuing to this day. Target, known for their issues with DEI, it's Pride Month, and what does Target have to offer? Well, a female gal with pal comes with U-Haul, and it's got the lesbian flag colors painted on the side of the van.
But in no way does it say that they are gay, but that's coded. I mean, it's got the flag, it's gal and pal.
Plus U-Haul.
Plus U-Haul, they're moving in together.
Plus U-Haul.
But they can't say the queer part out loud. And television was really bad about this too. They were very censored for the same reasons as movies. Even today, even though those censorship laws aren't in place, the representation of queer people versus straight is vastly less than the proportion of queer versus straight people in the population. We're not really getting proportionate representation, and that's because they're afraid of steering away a conservative audience.
Especially in different countries.
In different countries that technically it's still legal in a lot of places to be queer in the US. But technically, it's getting more precarious. We are going to talk about ways you can help if you're interested in that. Also about ways in the UK, because things are scary over there too. You know, because they need to market it in less LGBT-friendly countries, a lot of media shies away from it. Because there's this great history in the queer community of looking for signs of queerness with very subtle hints.
And most subtle.
So subtle. And because there just is a lack of it, there has always been a great need for queer people to see queerness in media that was not explicitly written to be queer.
Yeah, and we could not be doing what we are doing today if it wasn't for Star Trek and the Spock, Kirk fandom that basically launched 1,000 ships
It not only launched that, it basically created modern fandom, and this was made by women writing fan magazines, making fan art, and writing fan fiction of just shipping Kirk and Spock.
Another one is it's called slash fiction because it was Kirk slash Spock. So that's what we've done. What we have done is we have come up with 12, count them, 12 pairings that we see any viability in. So, how is this going to work? We have our 12 couples, and we each have personally ranked them on a scale of 1 to 5, with 1 being the least and 5 being the most on 3 specific categories. 1,
How likely do we think that this is?
how plausible. 2,
How healthy is this? Because, come on, we all love in medias watching/reading about these disaster couples. Just complete disasters that we would never want this relationship to be real, but it's so entertaining to read about this.
And what's very important to note is any couple that we put in here is not an endorsement of we like that relationship in anywhere in real life. Do not put that on us.
Nope, we're not saying that. We're just saying it's entertaining.
And the third one is,
how much do we want to see this?
how much do we want you, fanfic writers out there, to post stuff to AO3 once we're done?
Yes, please. There's such a dearth of good Austen fics on AO3. Please post more.
Please. We are going to be pulling, starting with whoever wins the coin toss. We will be pulling 6 each, and then adding up our scores so that each couple can get anywhere from 6 to 30 points. And then we add that all up and see who wins Queer Austen Fantasy Sportsball!
I know how I've scored those couples. Mary knows how she scored her couple. We have no idea how the other person has scored. So part of this is that we're guessing based on not just how we scored the couples, but how we think the other person is going to score it.
So, it's
also a bestie testy.
It's a bestie testing. So, I have this coin here, courtesy of Cassie's husband, Chris.
Thank you, Chris.
All right.
He's also our fantastic cameraman, and he does all my sound and lighting for me, so let's give Chris
a round of applause.
Yep.
All right, Cassie, heads or tails?
tails.
All right. Whoa, that was close. Tails. Oh no!
And of course, the ship that we were really flipping over is Bingley and Darcy.
Damn it! I'll do Darcy and Wickham.
I'm gonna call Lizzy and Charlotte.
Emma and Harriet.
I'm gonna get Emma and Jane.
Fanny and Mary.
Wentworth and Harville.
Henry and William Price.
Elizabeth Elliot and Mrs. Clay.
Lady Susan and Mrs. Johnson.
Ah, yes. The other disaster lesbian couple.
Disaster lesbian.
Evil disaster lesbians. I'm going to take Catherine and Isabel.
Which leaves me with Lucy and Fanny.
Oh, yes. The ultimate
Yeah, that's gonna get me no points.
Yeah, probably. And we have drafted our team.
Darcy and Bingley. How likely is it?
Oh,
Five.
Fives. Oh, yeah, fives.
They went to school together. They went to university together.
They live at each other's houses like 90% of the year. And it's like, Darcy's clearly not interested in getting married or women, like, you know.
But Darcy has enough influence over Bingley that he gets to basically like, yeah, you want to live here. Yeah, you do or you don't want to marry this lady, even when Bingley definitely likes Jane. Bingley speaks the world of Darcy. Now, obviously, Bingley is a golden retriever and speaks the world about everyone, but like he really speaks the world about Darcy.
Yep.
Oh yeah, also they get married to really close sisters, so then they're always going to forever be
in each other's lives, like basically still living at each other's houses. But it's super
it's possible.
But this is normal, right? Like, there's nothing gay going on here.
Nothing.
No, nothing at all. No.
How healthy is it that we give it a 4 just because Darcy has a lot of influence over Bingley?
And he doesn't always use it well.
He thinks he is, But the fact that he has so much influence to wield, even when it went against Bingley's interest, actually,
and Bingley does not have the same influence over Darcy, so that's a power imbalanced relationship, and we acknowledge that is problematic.
Yeah.
It's not deal-breaking.
No.
And Darcy does learn that he didn't have the right to do that.
Yeah.
And that's why it's not lower on my score. But still, it can't be 5 for that one.
Yeah. And how much do we want people to write more fanfic of it? 5.
It would be a
5.
6. We would make it a 6 if we could.
Please more.
More.
Please more. I've read some really good ones, and I want more of them.
Yep.
Please write more. Basically is almost certainly going to be our highest score.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure nobody else scored even.
Nowhere even close.
Nowhere even close. Okay, so the next one is Darcy and Wickham.
All right.
How likely do we think this is?
I think it's a 5 for
I think it's a 5 for me, too, because they grew up together on the same estate, was basically almost adopted by Darcy's dad. I mean,
right there.
There has been fan speculation for a long time that because Darcy's father was so fond of him, he might actually be Darcy's bastard half-brother.
Yeah.
I don't personally think that's true, because otherwise I would not...
In no way ship it.
Yeah.
We don't do incest here.
We do not do Yeah, I was going to say... Yep.
So also I would say that Wickham, if you go with the fact that they had a relationship also in school when like Wickham's wild days was maybe part of the reason why Darcy finally cut him off is because he got tired of that relationship.
Yeah, and one of the reasons that Wickham goes after Georgiana is to get back at Darcy. It's literally revenge screwing. Yeah. But revenge screwing his sister.
And then also, like, spreading all the rumors about Darcy later on.
Yeah, does that say jilted lover to you? That could say jilted lover to me.
It says it to us.
Yeah.
How healthy is it? 1,
yeah.
Such a bad relationship. Such a train wreck.
Yep.
So bad.
So bad.
So bad. I mean, as we said, if there is revenge screwing, if there is I'm jilted and therefore I cut you off, if there is I'm going to spread rumors about you, thinking about the manipulation elements of I know all your dirty secrets because I grew up with you, no part of this is healthy.
No. Super, super unhealthy.
So what did you score for how much you want to see of it?
I put a 2.
Same.
Yeah.
I'm willing to give it a chance if there's like a really interesting take on it. But
yeah,
overall, like, there's more of that than Bingley Darcy, and that makes me mad.
It makes me mad too. The only way I'm cool with this is it's a redemption arc for Wickham. He wouldn't just be that he'd have to be sorry, he would have to make amends to a lot of people.
I would either do that or just one of those, like, you see the tragedy in slow motion as it happens.
Yeah.
And really digging into that character. That would be very interesting. And heartbreaking, because you would know where it's ending.
Yeah.
You know where it goes.
Yeah. It would be like the saddest prequel ever.
Yeah. Oh, well. Lizzy and Charlotte. Gals being pals.
Just gals being pals, you know.
What did you give them for likelihood? I gave it a 4.
I also gave it a 4. Yeah. I don't think it's as likely as Bingley and Darcy.
No.
But they are besties. Neither of them are super keen on getting married.
Yeah.
And you could read the whole Charlotte accepting Collins as not only doing what's best for her, but her also looking at it as doing what's best for Lizzy.
Yeah.
Because what I thought about it is like, now I'm going to inherit her house, but I'll always make sure she's taken care of. Because now I have, like, she's technically a relative and she's my bestie.
Yeah.
And also Lizzy could come be her live-in companion, and you know she and Collins have separate bedrooms.
You know.
They
do not. They are basically doing a one and done, maybe
an heir and a spare. Maybe an heir and a spare.
She is laying back and thinking of England.
Yeah.
That is what she is doing. She is not happy about this.
No.
But, like, also the way she talks about Collins is just so, like
look at all the ways
I'm romantic.
No, when she's over there, when Lizzie's visiting, she's talking about all the ways she manipulates it so she's with him as little as possible. Yeah. She says to Lizzy that she's not a romantic person. So you could see her as like an ace lesbian.
Yeah.
Or even an ace aro, squish QPR lesbian.
And at the same time, though, she's so good at reading people because she's the one who points out to Lizzy, she's like, I'm not so sure other people know that Jane likes Bingley. Like, so she is very tuned in to other women.
Yes. So that definitely
She's
reads Sapphic.
Yeah.
She reads either Sapphic or Ace to me.
Yeah,
and I think
same.
Sapphic is very plausible. The only reason I didn't give it a 5 is because I think she could be Ace Aro too.
Yeah.
But she ain't straight. Like, she's...
Oh, we can agree on that. The reason I didn't give it a 5 is because Lizzy can be read more as straight than Charlotte.
Yeah, but I can also read her as bi.
Oh, definitely. She's a disaster bisexual, or she's straight and just picky, and that's fine as well.
Yep.
When it came to how healthy it is, I gave it a 4. Mainly because I don't know if I can give anything a 5 for healthy.
Yeah, no, I also gave it a 4. So because if you think about it, Charlotte then has the upper hand over Lizzy in that, like, she's now going to inherit the estate.
If you go through that, yeah.
Yeah. And also, I just don't think it's possible to give any queer relationship in the Regency era a 5 unless the two people involved are financially independent and also single. Otherwise, I just think that there's going to be just elements of having to keep it secret and, maybe one of them is married and it's just going to make it so that one is dependent on the other. It's just going to get kind of icky and squishy.
So what we're kind of saying is, if Darcy didn't have so much influence over Bingley, that would be the 5.
Yeah, it would be the 5 because they're both financially independent.
And they were both single at that time.
And they were both single at the time. Yeah, if they wanted to stay single and just stay lovers, if Darcy wasn't quite so manipulative of Bingley and didn't have quite so much influence, it would have been our one and only 5. But yeah, I'm going to give it a 4 because I feel like Lizzy and Charlotte genuinely have affection for each other. They're very well matched intellectually.
Yep.
They're very well matched in terms of neither of them have any money.
Yep.
So there's no influence going that way. And I just really like them as people.
They're sweet. So how much do you want to see more?
5.
5?
5.
I gave it a 4. It's nothing against them. It's just I'm a little bit just picky about
it's
the
fine.
sapphic relationships I have. And I can handle Charlotte, but unfortunately, if you have a Charlotte-Lizzy thing, Collins is going to happen at some point. Mm-hmm. And that involves having to read Collins. And I don't love that.
That's the highest we have next to Darcy and Bingley.
Cassie's gonna win this, it's fine.
Oh dear.
We're both winning because it's queer, but when it comes to numbers, Cassie's gonna win this.
Yeah, fine. I think based on those two alone, I might be winning this. Emma and Harriet.
Emma and Harriet from Emma.
Yep.
How likely is it? I gave it a 4.
I also gave it a 4.
Oh, hey.
Have we just given it identical scores across so far?
We're gonna find out.
That's so funny.
It's almost like we know each other and have similar opinions.
Yeah.
So we'll find out. Emma's taking on this big mentorship role. Harriet is all around. We talked before about queer coding with Emma's like, I don't need to get married.
I'm not interested in a man.
But then
she's
also,
like, well, maybe if I fall in love, but I'm totally just not interested.
I'm fine. Harriet, don't marry that guy.
Yeah.
Don't marry that guy who's far below your station. I would never get to see you.
Emma goes on a lot in like her interior thoughts of how pretty Harriet is. Like the primary reason she thinks she's really pretty and poor, and therefore like I want to help her. But also, like, the primary attraction is that she's sweet and pretty.
Yeah. Otherwise, why would she pick her over any of the other folks who are needing some help?
The attraction for Emma is clear, and that would give her a companion, and she's already kind of like Harriet spending most of her time at Hartfield these days, and, not where she's supposed to be living. And, there's my live-in friend.
Yeah.
Doesn't read queer at all.
And if you have to get married, here's this guy I have chosen for you, who would still be close to me so we could spend time together. And we've already established that we're friendsies.
Yeah.
So we can stay together. And what would it be on Harriet's side is this hero worship. Oh my God, she's so pretty and rich and she
smart,
likes me.
And she likes me. Yeah.
Which is what makes it plausible, but also doesn't make it the healthiest.
Oh,
what did you give it for healthy?
I gave it a 2.
Me too! And it's not the same level of toxic as it would be in other things if you see this too, but to me, it is the power imbalance.
It
and the
really
power
is the
imbalance
power
is
imbalance.
Huge.
Yep, and Emma uses it.
She does.
A lot. Like, way
Don't
worse
marry
than Darcy.
this guy, marry this guy.
Like, even when she's saying, I'm done with manipulating you, and she's still manipulating her.
And then all of a sudden it's like this, like, oh no, she likes the guy that I realized I like. How can I kind of make her maybe change her mind?
Yeah. I mean, and at the same time, it's like, I 100% think that Emma's affection for Harriet is very real.
Yes.
And I think that her desire to give her the best life possible is very real. And that's why it doesn't get a 1.
Well, then that's also, if you think about it as a friendship, how healthy is it versus a relationship, how healthy it is. There are certain types of behavior that if you are friends with someone is more okay than if you're actually in a romantic relationship.
That's true. That's very true.
As a friendship, they have a healthier rating.
Yeah.
I gave it a 2 for how much I want to see more of it.
I gave it a 3. So
me, the reason I gave it a 2 is just because Harriet isn't all that interesting to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's really what it would be. It would be, I've seen this type of story before of like the worship that goes too far, the experimentation. It's just not super compelling to me personally.
Yeah, it's not super compelling to me either. It's not something I would definitely go, oh, I don't want to read this, but it's not super compelling to me. So the next one is Emma and Jane Fairfax.
Our other Emma pairing.
Now, this is one of those things that I think is an enemies to lovers thing. Because this is our sapphic little Emma, who also talks a lot about how much Jane is beautiful and accomplished. But
everyone talks about Jane.
Everyone talks about Jane. You talk about Jane a lot too, Emma.
Girl, you talk about Jane
a lot. And it's definitely one of those sapphic things where you're attracted to your same gender. And it's like, am I jealous of this person? Do I want to be with this person? Do I want to be this person? Yeah. It can get kind of fuzzy that way, and I can definitely see Emma that way.
I gave it a 2, actually.
I gave it a 3. I don't think it's very likely.
I don't think it's really likely on Jane's side, because we've definitely talked about how Emma can read very sapphic, and I'm not judging that, and how that she might have a big old crush on Jane, or the confusion crush.
Yeah.
But Jane doesn't read that queer to me.
No, she doesn't. This is my wish fulfillment of I love Jane, and I don't want her to end up with Frank Churchill because he's an asshole.
Because he's a dick.
He's so awful. I don't think that Jane would be bullied by Emma, and I would love them to run off together because they could live on Emma's money. And then Jane doesn't have to be a governess, and she doesn't have to marry Frank frickin' Churchill.
Yeah, no, who's such a jerk to her.
So awful. So awful. So I gave it a 3. I was really tempted between a 2 and a 3, but it's like I kind of biased it because I like it.
When it came to how healthy it was, I gave it a 2.
I gave it a 3.
You just like it slightly more.
I just like it slightly.
Fine.
Yeah, and so I think that my optimism for that one makes me
shines through.
Yeah, but I also don't think it's super likely.
Yeah, so the reason I gave it a 2 was similar reasons for Harriet and Emma, of just the power imbalance is just so disparate.
Bad. Yeah.
Emma is so financially stable. In fact, she is the highest status woman in the area, versus Jane is like at the whims of everyone. So technically, even if they were to get together, she would forever be at the whim of Emma.
Yeah. At the same time, I think the reason why I gave Harriet a 2 and Jane a 3 is because Jane is very much her own woman still. And like, you look at how she stands up to Mrs. Elton. I don't think that Emma will be able to manipulate her the way that she manipulates Harriet.
Definitely.
She's too smart and she's too independent for that.
It is better than that. Yes, I will definitely grant you if it's much healthier than the Emma Harriet type of thing. But however, for me, of just seeing that money imbalance is what I think just sent it to that land. But I am willing to actually concede this point. I will raise it to a 3.
Oh, okay.
And then how much, Cassie, how much do you want to read fanfic of this?
I want a 4.
Want a 4?
Yeah.
I am also a 4.
Okay.
Just because it is intriguing. Because on one side, it's sort of enemies to lovers, and on the other side, it is confusion to lovers. Because Jane's just like, why are you so obsessed to me, / why do you seem to hate me? ? Yeah. And then this Oh, I see what this is. Okay, well, if we're going to do this, if the money is so out of thing, we're going to do the rest of this on my terms. And just her speaking out more than she ever gets to from Frank Churchill. I just think it would be intriguing.
It would be intriguing. I agree.
All right, Mansfield Park time!
Mansfield Park!
Now, here's the fun thing. While I drafted both of the couples from here, I do not like Mansfield Park. If you like Mansfield Park, good for you. I don't. So, I actually gave anything that I would want to see a -1 modifier because it's Mansfield Park. She says about the teams that she drafted.
This is a besties knowing each other thing. She knows that I personally like the idea of shipping the Prices and the Crawfords together.
Yep.
So she's counting on me giving these good scores.
Some better scores than I did.
Yeah, and I'm positive I gave these better. Fanny Price and Mary Crawford. So Fanny and Mary, how likely do I think it is? I gave it a 4.
I gave it a 3.
Yeah, I mean, like, the whole, it's like, will you come rehearse this love scene with me thing?
Hey.
Yeah.
Hey.
Yeah.
Rehearse this love scene with me.
Yeah.
They're in the same place at the same time for an extended amount of time.
Also, it's like, you know, I feel like Mary is definitely a disaster bisexual.
Oh, both of them.
Both of them.
Those siblings are disaster bisexuals.
And I think that, I mean, and Fanny goes on a lot about how pretty she thinks Mary is.
Yeah.
And Mary sort of reciprocates after she starts noticing Fanny. She's like, she's pretty.
She's nice.
She's nice.
She's easy on the eyes.
Yeah, and she even like goes to her brother and is like, hey, don't you break her heart. I like her.
I like her.
Yeah, don't you break her heart.
Don't ask me why I like her. I just like her.
I just like her. But yeah, Mary's also kind of mercenary. It's like she's one of those bisexuals I can see her marrying a man and like not being really disgusted by men, but also like preferring romantic relationships with women. With Mary, I can definitely see her as the type who would marry a man for money and like, yeah, she'd have sexy times with a man. It's not repulsive to her, but I think she is definitely the type who would have a live-in bestie. Yeah. Just gals being pals.
Just gals being pals.
And I think that's who she would be emotionally close with. I don't see her being emotionally close with a husband.
Yeah. How healthy is it? So I gave this a 4. And what did you give it?
I gave it a 3.
Okay, so the reason I gave it a 4 was you had talked about this, of just they would be good for each other complementary-wise, similar to how Lizzy and Darcy balance each other out in many ways. Yeah. These two would balance out. Mary needs someone who is steady, who is a kind of a safe haven for, and Fanny needs someone to make her less Fanny.
Mary's very cynical about humanity in general, and Fanny's a good person and she's very optimistic, so I feel like that...
nothing but sweet, placid optimism. For better or for worse.
For better or for worse. So I think she would give Mary more hope in humanity. The only reason I ranked it as a 3 is because Mary has a manipulative side to her.
Oh, definitely.
Fanny has a manipulative side to her. And there is a power imbalance there because Mary is independently wealthy and Fanny is not. Yep, and that's why I gave it a 3.
I revise. I'll take down to a 3. We match on that.
Okay.
All right, how much you want to read more about it, though?
Oh, 5. Yes, definitely 5.
It was going to be a 4, but it's -1 because of Mansfield, so it's a 3.
It's a 3.
Because it is still Mansfield Park. So our next pairing is Henry Crawford and William Price, because let's do the Prices and the Crawfords.
I like the idea of the Prices and the Crawfords. What can I say?
All right, so for probability though, I did give it a 2 because it's one of those, they're in the same place at the same time. But I did give it more than just a 1 because I liked the idea of this almost 12th night element of I like your sister. I like your sister. So let's be friends. So let's get really close because I like your sister.
Yeah. I gave it a 3. And the reason is, as someone who, I did my undergraduate thesis on Mansfield Park, but from having read it many times.
Many a time.
One of the things I noticed is that Henry Crawford, there's a whole thing that Austen writes about how much he really admires William Price. Like when he meets him, he thinks he's just kind of, he's charismatic and he's handsome and he's brave and he's gallant and all these things that Henry Crawford kind of wishes he was, instead of just being kind of a dilettante.
So it's one of those, do I want to date him or do I want to be him?
Yes, it's one of those things. And so then you get the whole thing where he talks to his uncle to get William his officer's promotion, like to be an officer.
Okay.
And it's like, is he doing this for Fanny? Is he doing this for William? Is he doing it for both and doesn't realize it?
To be clear, I definitely see Henry Crawford as disaster bisexual.
Oh yeah, he's definitely a disaster
We are
bisexual.
on the same page on that.
And William's a sailor. I mean,
he's a sailor.
He's
what
a
more do
sailor.
I need to say?
He's a sailor. I'm just saying that he's probably experimented a little bit.
But just because he's experimented doesn't mean necessarily that he is here for Henry.
No, but he clearly likes Henry. And he definitely doesn't understand why Fanny turned him down.
Sure.
So
it's not impossible, it was just for me kind of more improbable. So how healthy is it?
I honestly think this one could be more healthy than Mary and Fanny just because William's more assertive. And now that he has his commission, he's not rich, but he's also has some degree of independence.
So you gave it a 4?
I gave it a 4.
And I upped mine to 3 on this one of just, there's also potentially though always going to be the thing of I'm the reason you got this commission.
Yeah, that's why I didn't get a 5 for me.
Yeah. I am why you got this.
Yeah, there's still a power imbalance. I don't think it's as bad as Mary and Fanny's.
No.
But there's still a power imbalance.
How much you want to read more about this, Cass?
5.
Mine would have been 4, but it has the -1 modifier, so it's 3.
Okay.
But why do you want to read so much about it, Cass?
Because I do like Bad Boy Goodbye. I like the 12th night thing that you're talking about. Like, do I like your sister because it's hetero, or do I actually like you? I don't need more than that.
You don't need more than that.
I don't need more than that.
You just want to read it.
I just want to read it. Right? Can somebody please write more?
Someone make Cassie a happy queer and just write a whole lot of the
Prices and the Crawfords.
The Prices and the Crawfords, please, for Cassie.
Please.
It's been a hard year.
It's been a really hard year, especially to be non-binary.
Yeah.
God. These two are scoring so high, basically, because I like it.
Yes, and I knew that.
And you knew that.
If I couldn't have all the other good pairings, I was going to go just for what you had.
Next one is Captain Wentworth and Captain Harville.
Here we are in Persuasion Land. When it comes to how likely is it, I gave it a 2 because I felt it was a bit reachy, but at the same time, men away at sea.
It's like, come on. You've all seen, if you haven't seen Our Flag Means Death, please go watch Our Flag Means Death. It's so good. It's so queer. But the thing is, because at sea, it was all men for months and months and months, if someone was even slightly queer, they figured it out very fast.
I mean, yeah.
So I gave this, for probability, I gave it a 4 because they seem very emotionally close, and I think if there was any sort of queer attraction going on there...
when it comes to how much probability of it happening if they had the interest, yes. I don't necessarily get queer vibes from Wentworth as much.
You know what? That's fair. I think I will revise my 4 down to a 3.
All right. See, we are able to... Oh, hey, no, okay, that is on Cassie's team. I was like, I'm not doing this to try and get the points, but it's more of just interesting to see.
Yeah, no, it's more like talking this out, and it's like, I have legitimately changed my mind.
Yeah. For how healthy it is, I gave it a 4.
I did too.
Because it is the most types of solvent of, they're both captains, they're both...
Harville's married, and then Wentworth obviously hooks up with Anne.
Later on.
But yeah, so that's
they have a lot of time at sea.
They have a lot of time at sea together. They have fairly equal things, everything else. The only reason it doesn't get a 5 is because Harville's married.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. And then how much do you want to read it? I gave it a 2.
I gave it a 2 as well. It's one of those things that I think it's plausible, But
it doesn't necessarily...
It doesn't compel me either. It doesn't really float my boat.
But I'm like, really?
Yes.
That ship doesn't float your boat?
Yep, that ship with these 2 captains on it still doesn't float my boat. All right, the next one, we're staying in Persuasion Land. It's Elizabeth Elliot and Mrs. Clay.
How plausible is it?
Oh, it's 5. It's a 5. It's a 5.
I gave it a 4. I go for all of the reasons why it's plausible. I just don't see it as much, but tell us all the reasons why it definitely happened.
Okay, because A, Elizabeth Elliot is not interested in really getting married except for money. And that to me, well, money plus title. And that to me reads like it's just mercenary, therefore there's not really an attraction thing going on.
Yeah.
And she has a live-in bestie
she's a gal pal.
She has a gal pal that she's so attached to, she kind of kicks Anne out of the house so that she can have more room for her gal pal. That reads hella queer to me.
I know.
It reads so queer. It reads so weird. It's like, I need more room for my special friend. So
my special friend, get out, sis.
Get out, sis. Go live with our other sis for a while. I need more room for me and Mrs. Clay. Also, like, canonically, Mrs. Clay will screw for power. She's, really flirts with Sir Walter, and she flirts and ends up screwing Mr. Elliot because he's the heir to the estate.
Yeah.
So, and I could definitely see her, like, I could see Elizabeth being the one who's sapphic and Mrs. Clay going along with it.
Being a disaster bisexual.
But doing it partially because she wants to keep a good thing up.
Yeah.
Because she is poor.
So, therefore, how healthy is it? I gave it a 3.
I gave it a 1.
Oh!
It's way too power.
I'm so much nicer.
Well, I was going to say, they're both toxic and it's super power imbalanced, so I gave it a 1.
Okay, I'll give it a 2. I can get, yes. How much do you want to read it?
How much do I want to read it?
I gave it a 2.
I gave it a 2 as well.
Because they're disaster or lesbian / bis, but it's just going to be scheming.
It's just going to be scheming and bitching, and
and it's scheming and bitching with characters I don't really like.
They're not fun.
Yeah.
They're not fun.
They're not fun.
So that's tied for the bottom with Darcy and Wickham.
This is my surprise face.
Yeah.
Next up
is Lady Susan and her bitchy best friend, Mrs. Johnson.
From Love and Friendship
/ Lady Susan.
How plausible is it? 4.
I gave it a 4.
Because it's another one of those, you found this great quote about how she talked about her husband.
All right, let me pull this up. Stuck in a marriage with a sensible man whom she does not love, whom Lady Susan derisively describes as, quote, just old enough to be formal, ungovernable, and to have the gout, too old to be agreeable, and too young to die. Yep. Oh my gosh, so bitchy.
I admit, all of this is going off of vibes from the movie for me. I have not yet read Lady Susan.
Yeah, she definitely reads it reads in the book, but in the movie especially is like totally not interested in her husband, but they read very close in the movie.
Kate and Chloe had amazing bitchy chemistry.
Oh,
and
my
Lady
gosh.
Susan is only in it for the money. She is only in it for the titles. She does not care about these men.
Nope.
She does not care about these men.
Nope.
And obviously, Mrs. Johnson don't care about her husband. And the only thing that finally kind of gets her upset is the idea that she might be sent away, which... Ooh, is it because she's going to be sent away from her bitchy best friend fuck buddy?
Ooh. Or is it because she's going to be cut off from her money?
You know, 6 of one, half dozen of the other.
Yeah, 6 of one, half a dozen the other.
How healthy is it? Okay, but I gave it a 3 just because they both know how bad they are.
I gave it a 4 for the same reason. I'm like, you know what? Same social class. Like, they clearly have some sort of bitchy affection for each other, and they both know that they're terrible.
They both know that they're terrible. They both know exactly what type of relationship this is. This is a friends with benefits.
Yeah.
This is not a deep, long-lasting, like, deep and loving relationship. They know what they're here for. They're both on the same page. So
they're both disaster bisexuals.
Even though they are disasters, it's healthy in its own way.
Yeah, it's not unhealthy, per se.
Yeah.
I hear that. Do I want to see it? Yes.
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 5.
Yeah.
I wanted to do this mainly because also Love and Friendship is like the most Oscar Wilde thing that Jane Austen wrote.
Yep.
Love that type of juicy snap, snap, sympathy snap.
Yeah.
And then you write it with these disaster bisexuals.
So you gave it a 5?
I gave it a 5.
I gave it a 4.
That's fine.
But you know, it's like I gave some of the other ones I really like also a 4, so that's fine.
Yeah.
So
Catherine and Isabella from Northanger Abbey. So, probability.
I gave it a 4.
I gave it a 3.
Yeah. And the only reason I'm giving it a 4 is I could definitely see Isabella being a disaster bisexual.
Oh, 5,000%.
5,000%.
You definitely think of Catherine as a sweet, confused bisexual.
Yeah. So I'm giving it a 4. I can definitely see giving it a 3. And I could definitely be seeing them both being very young, not quite understanding their romantic attractions.
Yeah.
And I could definitely see it being like innocent flirting and
I don't feel like Catherine would be aware of what's going on with that.
No, I don't think so either.
Even if she was, Isabella wouldn't really pick up what she's putting down.
No, I don't think so either. I don't
don't think it would go anywhere really past the crush stage.
Yeah, I don't think it's likely for them to be in a relationship. I think I put the 4 for the likeliness of them being attracted to each other without realizing it. So maybe I'll revise that down to a 3 because I don't really think it's super, super likely.
Yeah.
So we'll make that a 3. How healthy? 2.
2, yeah.
Yeah.
The manipulation.
Yeah.
Even though some of it's through the brother's going to be involved in it.
And she's super manipulative herself.
Yeah.
She's not capable of a healthy relationship.
Not with the way that she is now. It's just
she needs to grow up.
You put that much manipulation in that small of a human, it's not gonna go good.
And Catherine's too naive. She's so naive that it would be terrible.
I mean, she falls for it.
Yeah, she hook, line, and sinker.
And then all of a sudden it's like, oh no, Tilney.
Yeah.
Oh, away in the carriage, and she's like, hey, wait, could we stop the carriage? They're like, no, it's fine.
Yeah.
No, wait, could we stop the carriage though?
And she still thinks it's all Mr. Thorpe's doing. She doesn't really start realizing Isabella might not be the best person until she starts treating her brother so crappy when they're engaged. And still, it's like she still can't believe it. And I get this from having been romantically involved with someone who was so nice to me and then became so horrible once the relationship dynamic changed. And I just spent more than a year reconciling well, this is the person I used to know, and this is what they're like now, and what happened.
Yeah.
So I totally get Catherine's confusion there. But yeah, I gave it a 2.
And how much do you want to see it?
2. 2, yeah.
It's one of those, I'd be interested if it has something cool and new to say. I'd be more interested if it was a modern adaptation.
I can see that.
I'm just not necessarily going to be like, ooh. But if it was a modern thing, and then kind of seeing Catherine coming to terms with that type of thing, and it might be one of those, we start in here and then I move on.
Yeah, I could definitely see that.
Okay, and our last pairing is
Lucy Steele and Fanny Dashwood.
I don't think we're going to be talking long about that.
Oh no. This is our probably least likely one.
Our least likely, least favorite. There's a reason that this one was the last drafted. Sadly, I lost the coin toss, so...
Yeah.
It's not going to get me many points.
No. For likelihood, I give it a 1.
I give it a 2, because, they're companions.
They're companions. You know what? I'm going to revise mine to a 2.
I'll take it. I'll take all the points I can get.
No, I mean, also, I could definitely see Lucy doing it as a way to suck up. Kind of literally. Yeah. Literally.
It's the favorites, but Regency.
Yeah, it's the favorites, but Regency. Exactly.
Or the favorite, yeah. There is no affection, and also I take it at the fact that Fanny can kind of stand her, and Fanny doesn't like humans.
Fanny only likes, people who are similarly selfish and will kiss her ass. I mean, the whole reason Yep.
Yeah, like attracts like on that. How healthy is it?
One.
Because they're two terrible people being terrible to each other.
They're not capable of healthy relationships, and this is a very power imbalance dynamic, so 1.
There's nothing good. How much you want to see it?
1.
I don't know if there even is out there in the world. I mean, certain internet rules says there must be, but like, I don't want it.
No.
Don't show it to me, please.
Please, no.
I don't want, no.
Not only is that the least, that is half of our previous low score.
Yeah, I knew that would be bad. So, after telling the scores...
Well, it's closer than I thought it was going to be.
Honestly, same when I realized that you had Bingley, Darcy, and I had Lucy, Fanny.
I mean, it really was going to be a coin flip on who was going to win this. We knew this going in. Whoever won the coin flip was going to win.
And it's fine. Because the whole thing was like, this was just in fun. And we hope that you had some fun with this.
Yeah, I mean, this was basically an excuse for us to talk about queer Austen shipping.
Because why the hell not?
Yeah.
But, as we had said, we picked 12 pairings, but there are some other potential honorable mentions or other headcanons, pairings, or people that we didn't want to actually go into, but we thought would be worth mentioning. So, we're going to go down the books. For Pride and Prejudice, Darcy is Demi.
Darcy is definitely Demi, okay?
Darcy is Demi.
Darcy is Demi, and you can't convince us otherwise of this. And if you don't know what Demi means, demisexual means they're on the ace spectrum. And if you notice here, you've got a couple of aces. And demisexuals are basically people who only experience sexual attraction to people they've gotten to know. I mean, whether you think he's into both Bingley and Lizzy or just Lizzy, Bingley's someone he's known for like almost his whole life. And canonically, he's not attracted to Lizzy until he gets to know her better. That's the definition of Demi. Just saying. You heard it here. Darcy is canonically queer.
We just said it.
Queer.
And you can't change our minds.
You cannot change our mind.
Next is for Sense and Sensibility. You have a delightful headcanon.
I do. And this is actually based on someone that I had a relationship with who was assigned male at birth and basically described to me the worst case of gender dysphoria I have ever heard. The uncomfortableness that this person felt with the masculinity that they were supposed to be performing reminds me a lot of Edward Ferrars from Sense and Sensibility. Yeah. Like, just the way that Edward just doesn't do any of the masculine stuff, but he just wants to hang out with these sisters all the time and wishes he was one of the girls. And just the uncomfortableness that Edward feels in his own skin reminds me of a lot of trans people I know pre-transition. So that's why my headcanon is that Edward Ferrars is a trans woman.
We also considered Lucy and Eleanor as a pairing that we would discuss. It wouldn't be healthy. We didn't like it.
We didn't like it, so it
instead lost the coin flip to
be on
to Lucy and Fanny.
We didn't want to subject Eleanor to that. We love Eleanor.
Eleanor deserves better.
She deserves so much better. But
if you really wanted to, there could be elements of the I can't have Edward, I can have the next closest thing, maybe, sort of, kind of.
Yeah. Or that they have this intimacy of the shared secret. Yeah. And so they bond over that. So, you know.
Emma, we have the Knightleys are Woodhouse sexual.
The Knightley brothers are Woodhouse sexual. They don't seem to be interested in any other girls except the Woodhouse sisters.
We view them very much as both on the asexual and the aromantic spectrum of just everyone else doesn't really exist except for these two women that they have known for years.
Yeah, literally since the girls were born.
Which
is not creepy at all. We don't love that.
Also, even though we don't like him, Frank Churchill is a disaster bisexual.
Oh yes. Complete disaster.
We don't like him, have a character redemption arc over there, but we do read him as disaster bisexual.
And Mr. Elton too.
Yeah. No, Mr. Elton we read kind of more as gay and has a giant crush on Mr. Knightley.
Yes, no, you're right.
His courtship for Emma is just so
weird.
And
There's the angle that maybe Emma was leading him on, but also, like, you kind of had to stretch for that a little bit. Like,
he reached further than we reached for some of our pairings.
Yeah.
He Mr. Fantastic reached. He talks all much about how he admires Mr. Knightley. He keeps on going on. Mr. Knightley could
My
not
friend
care less.
Knightley. And Mr. Knightley, like, barely notices
like,
that he
who?
exists. He's like, oh yeah, Elton, he's annoying.
He exists, I guess.
Yeah, he's annoying. But, like, just the way that Mrs. Elton thought about Knightley from the way her husband had talked about his relationship with Knightley, and, like, it being so different from his actual relationship with Knightley, it's like, is that sucking up or is that a crush?
Yes.
Yes.
The answer is
yes. The answer is yes. Tom Bertram and Mr. Yates. And the reason is that Tom doesn't seem super interested in getting married. And he suddenly comes in with this new best friend, and the implication seems like he's got a lot of male best friends over the years, and it's like, lovers maybe? Lovers that he's broken up with?
He's just that funny Uncle Kai.
Yeah.
Over in the corner.
Yeah, he's just that playboy.
Yeah.
Yeah, doesn't
Wink,
want
wink.
to settle down,
Wink,
but
wink,
also
wink.
doesn't ever seem to be involved with women.
And the last one we had was, as someone who is bi, I promise... We are not saying that if you're bi, you're a disaster.
We're saying this to ourselves as bi romantic asexuals who we know we're disasters. We know we're disasters.
We're just more likely to be disasters because choices are hard all
Choices
the time.
are hard, yeah.
And speaking of choices are hard, Catherine
Has a really hard choice. Does she have Eleanor Tilney or Henry Tilney?
Now, to be very clear,
Not at the same time.
This is not a throuple.
This is not a throuple.
This is not a throuple.
We
No.
definitely say
This is a V.
This is a V. This is them both separately having relationships with Catherine.
But they're not
they're not a triangle.
We cannot
It's a
be
V.
clear enough about this. There is no incest.
No, that's a hard line for us.
Hard boundary. But besides, obviously, she's into Mr. Tilney because canonical.
But she also really, really admires Eleanor, and, you know, they spend all this time together.
And once again, is that do I admire you? Do I want to be you? Do I like you?
Yeah.
Check yes or no.
Yeah, this is kind of the confused bisexual thing that we talk about, is that, do I like you? Do I want to be you? Do I want to be with you?
So, those were other headcanons. We also wanted to give a shout out to some queer Austen adaptations that we know of. And if we have missed any, please let us know because we would like more.
We would love more.
In Lost in Austen, there is a actual subplot written in there where Caroline Bingley is a lesbian or disaster bisexual, one of the two. And it's kind of written in there that Wickham has a bit of a beard thing. Fire Island, which is a very somewhat explicitly gay retelling of Pride and Prejudice, modern. It's very good. I very much enjoyed it, but you will see very close to bits. Not necessarily, but if you are more sex repulsed, might not be for you. Another one, which neither of us have read, but it's on our reading list, and it did get like a Stonewall Honor Prize, is Most Ardently, in which Lizzy is a trans man. And I really look forward to reading it.
I'm here for this. And the fact that it got the Stonewall Prize, I'm really here for this.
And doesn't that mean that it's completely better than the dishonorable mention?
Oh, it's so much better. Our dishonorable mention,
Which
is Pride/Prejudice.
Written by a straight woman for straight women.
Ugh.
As said, do you have any other queer Austen in there that's all written or filmed or comics or
tell us about
anything? Tell us about in the comments. Also, if we have missed one of your headcanons or one of the pairings that you really care about, let us know, because we were pretty thorough of ones that we were okay. Our hard boundaries are there's no incest, there is no underage, so no Marianne, and nothing that is straight up abusive, which goes with coercive. And yes, there is a fine line between manipulative and coercive, but do your best to walk it.
Yeah, exactly.
Because it's really important in these times to have queer
joy.
The ACLU has a legal tracker that has tracked over 600 bills that are anti-LGBTQ, and unfortunately a whole lot of them are anti-trans right now. It's a scary time to be queer, and an even scarier time.
Yeah, super scary, especially under this administration.
Yeah, so we are going to share some resources of places that you can donate to. But
The
then
ACLU
is definitely one of them. But there's a lot of other ones, especially for trans rights and helping different people in states or countries.
Also the UK, because, oh gosh, they're under attack too right now.
Yeah. So that's part of the reason, as we said, why we made this. We wanted to have some queer joy that we're filming in Pride Month, even though you're seeing it later. And we want you to take something beyond that and just enjoy being queer if that's you, and if not, support queer people by engaging with media and headcanons and trying to get more representation.
Yeah, I'll even leave you some links to some of my favorite queer content creators here on YouTube. I guess shout out to Matt Baume in particular, who does really great videos about queer representations in media, especially on like television and film, queer representation, queer pioneers.
I want to also call out my friend Lee Pfeffer for History is Gay, which is a podcast.
I love their podcast.
Their podcast is fantastic. We cannot recommend it enough because they go in depth with their resources and their references.
Oh yeah, so. It's very well researched. It's funny as heck.
It's so great.
It's pure queer joy.
It's pure queer joy.
I mean, they're also very realistic about what it was like to be queer at different periods in history. So I love that.
So with all that to say, we're hoping that you enjoyed this. I'm Mary Hill, she, her.
I'm Cassiane Mobley, they, them.
And this has been Queer Austen Fantasy Sportsball!
All right, and if you like that, catch us over at Austenland for our next video. Bye!
Bye!